record. So previously we had talked about how we would like to contribute to the empathy training MOOC, and we've just written some notes, and since then I've laid out a kind of a step-by-step guide for how people can contribute, you know, because not everybody knows what the different categories are. So we wanted to talk about that, and I created an outline here that I wanted to share with the group, and then also get everyone's feedback on how we can develop this questionnaire. And it is, I'm going to share that. And this is it. So is that showing up for everyone? Is that clear enough? Or, I'm sure we, so how might you like to contribute to the empathy training MOOC project? So we need an idea, because I'm kind of doing the management of, you know, trying to manage I have like 14, 15 people and trying to manage all the different, the times and resources and people's interests. And so I created this document, and this one here is just for feedback. So you can actually go into this document and add comments and feedback. And because this is sort of our prototype, that it's not for you to fill out for your own self, but more like as we ask other people. We have 4 teams now, you know, we might create more teams, or people might join the teams, and we need a way of gauging how they would like to be involved and make it easy for them to understand what the categories of contribution are, and to get a picture of what we're doing. So this is the how to contribute questionnaire. You know, I can ask people to send me a copy to my email, and then I post it to our MOOC project. So we say here, I would like to, you know, oh, it's like maybe how I would like to contribute maybe here, contribute. So minimal participation, this is the minimal amount of participation required to take part in the design team. And that's that, you know, you're going to do 2 hours of our weekly meetings. We had said 2 hours of, you know, read the material, show up, do the exercises. This is sort of the prep, really. So this is more the prep or homework. And we had said 2 hours, but the actual reading only takes about like 5 or 10 minutes to read. So, but so anyway, that's like the minimum to take part. You know, you just kind of show up, you do the meetings, you take part in the exercises. So the next level is to become a co-designer of the training. And this is according to your time, your interests, your abilities. You can select and how much you'd like to take part. You know, also depends on your skills, etc. And you can say how many hours you'd like to contribute. You know, there's the minimal, which is, we say 2 up here, but it's actually, you know, it's like you can do it in like 15 minutes right now. So you can say, somebody said, oh, I'm willing to work 7 hours a week, you know, on this. So that's like really great, because they really want to throw themselves into this. And the initial commitment is, you know, you can check off, you know, each section, and then you can say, okay, I want to take part in co-designing. So you just check it off. I want to commit like 4 hours. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to take the minimal, you know, is going through chapters 1 through 6. So this is kind of like introducing the project, get familiar with it. Then you can decide if you want to continue. And if you want to continue with the full book at 16 weeks, and, you know, everyone here had said they want to do that. And we can write in comments, you know, any comments on the section. So any quick comments on this part?
It just seems to me an extension of time commitment but not necessarily intensity. I'm not, you know, that's not a, I don't have a judgment about that, but it's like if you just did what your minimal thing was every week, you'd be doing the co-design thing. So just to, that's just how, you know, how it goes. And for me, rather than commit to like a certain amount of hours, which then sets up a judgment, I would like, you know, I would commit to like a project.
Oh, I see.
You know, it's like, you know, so like say read the chapters and things like that, and not, you know, leave off the time. Then you feel like, well, I read it in 15 minutes. What do I do for the next hour and 45?
Yeah. So you're like so you're saying there is, instead of, you know, being so focused on the time here, that it's like, here's a project, I'm going to commit to doing this project for whatever amount of time it takes. And
Yeah.
okay.
That's the way I would, you know, do it.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, to kind of clarify that. Anyone else? Quick comment. Okay. Then I have these skills to contribute, so you can kind of type in the skills you have. You know, everybody has different skills. If there's everything from, you know, being a therapist or mediator or facilitator or teacher, or, you know, you name it. You can just type in some skills so we know, just so we have an idea of what it is that you can and, you know, have specialties in. You can design you can say, I want to design an activity lesson. So we have 16 lessons, and you can go in and be the one that kind of designs the lesson. So a full meeting or a part of the meeting. Well, no, there's actually two parts. There's actually the activity. So a lesson is comprised of multiple activities. You know, we have the on arrival question as an activity. We've got the intention setting activity. We've got the mirror empathy one. And like Bill, you're going to be doing that mirroring activity. So that's the activity, and that's like a smaller piece within a lesson. So maybe design activity would be a bit, maybe a short activity, something like that. So.
Yeah, the word lesson can be gone after activity.
Yeah.
The second one.
So, yeah. Oh, that's, yeah. So design a short activity, design, facilitate an activity. So you can design one, then you can design and facilitate it and present it. And I don't know, facilitate an X weeks, number of weeks, empathy. I think we should just keep that clear, just simple. So it's only for, and then the activity is in the activity is in our toolkit. So our toolkit is really a whole series of activities, and each of those activities, you know, we'd like to create a sort of a consistent template, like how long does the activity take, you know, just all the stuff that you'd have for an activity, what supplies are needed, and a layout, the objectives, and all that kind of stuff. So that would be designing an activity. There's the visioning, which is help articulate the culture of empathy. So we've been talking about that we want to do a project, you know, around developing the vision more articulately. And Celia and I have been talking about it. Dave has been talking about it for a clearer vision, you know, for the website. And, you know, we have a bunch of material on it, but it needs to be, you know, better written, and want to set up some meetings. So to work specific on the visioning. And so anyone can, if you want to take part in that, you can click here. Maybe you're a good writer and you want to write copy. There's technical production, which is, you know, are you good at website development? Can you create video clips? It's kind of like etc. You know, kind of technical stuff like that. You can leave some comments. Any questions? Just raise your hand if you have a comment, or I'll just keep looking over to anything to add or to clarify? So then there's lead, facilitate the empathy training. So this is actually lesson, I think, is what, this is like the full lesson, you know, like a 2-hour, so maybe it'd be clear to say 2-hour lesson. So this is good. Yeah, lead, facilitate an empathy lesson. This was kind of a draft, so I'm kind of working on this. And so, yeah, so this is to facilitate the training, so a 2-hour lesson, and then this is a 16 lesson series. You know, if you're saying, hey, this is great. I think, in fact, Bob says he would like to do a full 16 in the fall. He wants to lead a full 16, lesson series. So he's kind of excited about that. Or you can just say, hey, I'm going to do chapter 10 or something. So then the next part is to do empathy activism. And I think that's something that's unique about this project. A lot of the empathy training is you learn empathy as an individual, for yourself to be better at communicating, which of course is very important and helpful. But we're doing, activism sort of out in the streets. Bill and I just did the empathy tent, and we've been doing it in different pop-ups. Peter, you've mentioned maybe doing one in New York, and Celia is starting one next month at the art fair. So this is like creating steps for how people can do activism. And one is, the first step is kind of the easiest, is just facilitate empathy circles between people online, actually. And what we're doing now is there's the right wing is going to be having a rally in Berkeley, and I've created a Facebook event where we can hold empathy circles with the different sides online. So when they create their event, for example, online, they have a against Marxism event, right, that they're doing. And there's like about 50, 60 people have said that they're going, and they have about 150 people say that they are interested in going. We can reach out to them and say, hey, would you like to do an empathy circle with someone on the other side beforehand? And we can actually, if whoever feels comfortable facilitating an empathy circle with, a couple liberals and a couple progressives, do an empathy circle, with them online in preparation for that event. So I have reached out to the leaders, for example, and said, hey, would you like to do an empathy circle? I'm reaching out to the mayor of Berkeley, to see if they'll take part. I've been talking with their offices and have a meeting with them next week. So that would be sort of facilitated empathy circle online, sort of conflict oriented. To say very conflict oriented. We said, it could be a bit heated. And there could even be something before that would be sort of support circle or something, whatever. I don't know, maybe it could be like, how do you feel about the border policies? Or, there's this shooting that my Jones cousin, where he was just killed, in back east there, and I can't remember the name of the town. But anyway, the journalist, we could do empathy circles with people who are just feeling distressed about it. We've done that before, just held empathy circles for people to talk about. So that would be some way of doing some activism, and it could graduate in terms of commitment and level to, take part in an empathy circle. So there's an empathy circle, maybe Celia's got one going in your town, and then somebody just comes and helps you, says, hey, I'm willing to help. I can offer listening. They don't start the tent, but they're coming to kind of help out. And then there's also, starting and leading an empathy tent in your area. So that's, and then any other comments and so forth. So that's sort of the idea so far of just getting sort of a baseline of how, you know, the 12, 15, whatever people who are interested in this project so far, you know, to get a baseline of just find out what their interest level is. And, you know, there's people who have responded to this who they've talked about doing an empathy tent. I never imagined they'd be interested in that. So it was just helpful to know where they are on it. So that was that. Any thoughts, comments? Does it make sense? Do you think it's useful? Is it too much? Or
I think it's very useful, especially when you see what you all could do, you know, what you can pick from. Because if you have the open question, how would you want to contribute? You have no clue.
Yeah.
So this gives guidance. And as I said before, like we already wrote a few lines, what we were going to do. But now that I see all the aspects, I may later say, wait a minute, I could do that too, you know? So yeah, I think it's makes sense.
Okay. Peter, did you have?
I like the idea of actually doing stuff online. I'd really be willing to facilitate that. But if it's really a heated thing, maybe I'd need some backup. You know, again, I think 2 facilitators maybe, and then if it's a whole bunch of people, you know, it's just what it is. So I'm willing to do it, but I'm also I want some hand holding at first, to be honest. And then I'll jump into it, of course.
Yeah, so it's really that graduation into it, right? It's like, don't throw somebody into the heated thing, but you could be like a co-facilitator for something.
And I'm saying that with the fact that I do this stuff all day at work, you know?
Yeah.
I can do this. It's just, if I'm going to have it online, I want someone to hold my hand a little, just so that nuanced differences don't catch me, you know? Because I do this all the time. So, you know, I'd rather have you or someone else's support just to get in the mode, and then I'll go.
Yeah. So I just made a note of that. I may need backup for first mediation. So yeah. Yeah, cool. So that gives us a sense that people want to be involved, even if they're very experienced. They may still want, like the first couple times, some, you know, hand holding or whatever, just because it's a new area. And they already have a huge amount of experience that they can then, once they're familiar with it, you know, can kind of do it on their own or, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, my only comment, those things, I mean, it is a lot, you know, and I could see myself plugging myself in various places. But apropos of what Peter said and other things, with the contentious things, I would suggest that we offer to hold like listening circles with the left, only the left, and the right, only the right at first, in order so that they would then trust us as facilitators without having to go into that. And then that also gives you a sense of what it's like, what the people are like. They get a sense of what you're like. And then you could then say, okay, who would like to, you know, go and talk to the other side in this manner? I think that would be might be a useful step.
Yeah, so I put facilitate empathy circle with in-groups to build trust.
Right.
So yeah, before we do the intergroup conflict, we want to have in-group trust.
Right.
Cool. Okay, then I'll stop this.